Today, some of the top racers when it comes to the Misfit Racing League look to kick off its Dirt Tour and its major events in style. Today, two planned events from one racetrack here on iRacing. Today, we're at the Chili Bowl to see how drivers fan out for the first of two special events today, the Fusion Setup Shop Wing Shootout. I'm Justin Prince alongside me, Robert Hill Jr., Ryan Bauer producing as we get set here on Podium Esports for coverage of the Misfit Dirt Tour. Today, to say the very least, going to be an exciting one, Robert, because you're talking about drivers going very quick, very fast when it comes to the micro sprints. But first things first, you're talking about drivers with the wings looking to see if they can fly to victory lane.
Yeah, we've seen some great wrecks in practice here today. A lot of drivers definitely going for a bit of a flight, hitting each other in the wheel, going wheel to wheel, and bicycle kicking their way around this racetrack. But it should be a good one. Lots of tight action. It's not the widest of racetracks, so it's going to bring a lot of opportunity for strategic passes and some good fun racing amongst these drivers. And you know, Justin, some of these guys are not dirt racers. We've heard from the likes of Kyle Adams here this afternoon that he misses his asphalt track, but we'll see what these guys can do in just a few minutes' time as we take a fly in to the Tulsa Expo Center. Let's take a look at the racetrack here and see what these drivers have in store for them today.
And remember, this distance around the racetrack, just 0.2 miles expected around here today. With just the 9 degrees of banking, it's to the point where iRacing Scan is relied upon in some years to make sure the track is perfect. We've seen that come into play one year. And today, these drivers expect a lot of sliding around. There's not going to be a lot of time to get the job done after all. You're looking at the lap distances on the docket. Those races are going to go quick.
Absolutely. Should go very quick. The drivers are working their way around this racetrack. Just over 9-second lap time, so we can get through this relatively quickly today. Of course, this format is subject to change due to the amount of drivers we have on site here today. We're looking at about 14 or 15 cars here at the Tulsa Expo Center, so we'll see how many heat races we actually do have, and I do believe it'll probably go down to just one LCQ this afternoon to work their way into the feature. And of course, we are going to have a 40-lap feature, $40 to win for these drivers. So a lot of action, a lot of tight racing action here today, and intensity sure to be through the roof. Because like you mentioned, you know, it's going to be relatively tough to pass for some of these guys. So this qualifying and those heat races are going to be absolute paramount to make sure you have a good opportunity to succeed here today.
Drivers have already finished up the qualifying session for today. The top three advancing directly to the feature. But besides the track, two heats are on the docket per the sim details. Grant Brown will start things off for the first of the heats today, alongside Jake Grout. Then it's Kyle Adams, Casey Beattie, Tyler Muller, and also amongst those who took times in final practice but did not qualify, Sean Ulrich. So 6 scheduled starters in Heat 1. Those who just advanced from the qualifying sessions directly to the feature, Bradley Cox, Alex Rupert, and Jake Sylvia. Now, interesting enough for Sylvia, he has now been named the Misfit Racing League's new director, essentially, in terms of its scoring as of late. He's got experience in race control. He'll be relied upon for race control for future events.
Yeah, Jake Sylvia, one of the quick drivers here today, like you mentioned, automatically locking into the feature, and that's going to be absolutely huge for him, not having to work his way through the heat races or those LCQs. Obviously, you want the track time to get the experience around here, but the less time you have to work your way out there, the better. As the pace truck's off, let's go green here, Justin Prince.
8 laps up on the board. We're racing already from the Chili Bowl. Already, Grant Brown leads by 4 or 5 car lengths. Jake Grout tries to work the outside, 3 wide of the back. Kyle Adams gets spun. Tyler Muller takes responsibility as the rest of the field continues to zip along.
Yeah, Casey Beattie taking a look to the inside of Jake Grout here, battling for position number 2. We're looking ahead to the race leader, Grant Brown. Brown out to a decent-sized lead ahead of these guys, nearly 0.8 of a second. As Beattie goes for a bit of a slider right into the outside wall, he's going to have some damage on board that machine, and he's going to have to try to hold off Tyler Muller as Muller hits the outside wall. These guys absolutely swapping positions very early on here, Justin, and this is going to be a very, very quick heat race halfway through already.
Looking for the drone can, already past the halfway point. Most drivers trying to work that cushion here today. There is a lot of opportunities to be able to make passes with sliders, though. If you aren't able to clear, it leads to trouble. Speaking of trouble, back straight away, Jake Groda spun along with Tyler Moeller. We stay green as all of this as well. The Patriot marketing machine, the 76 Grant Brown is running away, coming to the white flag, this time by Grant Brown. Has led the whole time. All of a sudden, Casey Beatty's found a little bit of something up on the cushion. Not enough time to catch, though, in his blue, white, and yellow machine. It's Grant Brown who wins Heat 1, Beatty second, Tyler Moeller brings home the one in third, Jake Grout in fourth, Kyle Adams will finish fifth.
Just as quickly as it started, it is over a minute and a half of race time there in heat race number 1. We're going to move on to heat race number 2 here. And as you can see, the results on the screen from the first heat, Grant Brown, Casey Beatty, and Tyler Miller going to advance. Adams, Grout, and Urich going to have to go to the LCQ coming up just a little bit later. And, you know, for them, intensity absolutely going to go through the roof as it's going to be a really tight battle. But let's take a look at the starting grid here for heat race number 2. It's Deegan Smith on the pole alongside Jeremiah Rychecki in row number 1, Keegan Bush and Bradley Stefane in row 2, with Dylan Calabro rounding out the 5-car field here in heat race number 2. Once again, 8 laps, 3 cars directly to the A main. Everyone else headed for the Consi.
And Robert, we were talking about this a little bit with Kyle Adams before today in terms of the connection with Fusion Setup Shop. Deegan Smith just happens to be the owner of that setup shop, and they have partnered with the series for its full main campaign this year with Misfit Racing League expanding to dirt.
Yeah, it's definitely great to have Deegan Smith and his team partnering with Misfit for this one. Obviously, having the expertise in that dirt world is huge, as we are green flag racing. Deegan Smith out to the lead ahead of Jeremiah Rychecki. It's going to be side by side already. Bradley Stefane, Keegan Bush battling for that transfer spot as we see Rychecki get sideways contact for him, and he's going to drop all the way to the tail of the field, moving that transfer battle back to Dylan Calabro and Bradley Stefane in third.
Field stays green. Rychecki told to move around as Calabro is spun around from the battle for the transfer. And it just got very easy for Stefane all of a sudden because of that one. Stefane's on his own. The 2 other challengers have already spun and or crashed.
Yeah, that's how easy it is, especially in those micro sprints that the drivers are driving here today. One little mistake and you're absolutely out of it. Bradley Stefane just getting lucky that he was able to keep his car moving after the early incident. He is holding on with all might for that first spot. Deegan Smith wrecks.
Deegan Smith straight to the tow truck. The new damage model in effect for some of these drivers here. We're seen with the wing damage, and all of a sudden, the driver who dominated all run, no longer there. 2 laps to go. It's Bradley Stefane in control by 2+ seconds.
What in the world has happened here today in heat race number 2 is Bradley Stefane. He's going to have his own incident right here, able to gather it back up. But Keegan Bush and Dylan Calabro going to be the other 2 cars still in contention to transfer over here. Calabro got a little bit sideways. He is just ahead of Bradley Stefane here as we are on the final lap of this heat race. Actually, it has just come to a conclusion, and it is Bradley Stefane, Keegan Bush, and Dylan Calabro advancing on to the A main. Rychecki and Smith to the Consi.
And a wild one to say the very least. To say what we just seen was Smith going to the back end. The reason I didn't mention the bubble at first, there was the potential of a skip directly to the feature. Guess what? That's what just happened here, Robert, with the car count. Let's head back over towards us here, because part of the reason the event here is with these cars is these machines just made their debut in the past week or so with the iRacing service with the most recent build. It takes a lot of skill to drive a micro sprint because you're talking about a lot of horsepower and a very small package.
That's exactly right. Like I was saying to yourself and Ryan Bauer earlier, it's almost like a toy going around this racetrack. The car is so small, not much bigger than a go-kart of sorts. And we see a lot of drivers driving these around Millbridge Speedway in the North Carolina area, trying to get their feet wet in the dirt racing world. And these guys just trying to get used to this new car, new toy that we do have to take advantage of this year. And it put on a good show through these heat races. I'm excited to see what they can do with 14 cars on the track and 40 laps of racing.
Let's take one more look at the track in case you're just joining us. Once again, we're at the Tulsa Expo Center on iRacing, the Chili Bowl, known for this style of racing and more. Since 1987, the host of the Chili Bowl Nationals, this facility, known for tight confine racing, just a fifth of the mile around this racetrack. There is very easy times, though, to be able to make contact with how tight this track is. It's the point where you are not going to be surprised if you see wheel-to-wheel combat at one point here.
That's exactly right. We saw it in practice. I've seen it myself out here on the racetrack. It's going to be very tight wheel-to-wheel all race long, especially with the whole field together. You're going to mix in some lap cars that'll run into trouble early, and that's where things are really going to shake up. So track position going to be absolutely paramount, and so will being smart with your move, strategic as well, not necessarily forcing it in there. You have 40 laps. That's a lot of distance to travel here in these cars. It's going to go by relatively quickly for these guys, but still, you got to be smart. You got to think before you take move.
Let's take a look at how the 14 entrants line up for this one today. Bradley Cox starts on the pole alongside Alex Rupert. Jake Sylvia starts third. Grant Brown will start alongside in the fourth spot today. Then it's Bradley Stefane and Casey Beatty amongst your first half dozen in this one, Robert.
Keegan Bush and Tyler Mueller are going to make up row number 4 with Dylan Calabro and Kyle Adams in row 5. Jeremiah Rychecki and Jake Grout going to round out the top 12 with Deegan Smith and Sean Urich rounding at our 14-car field. 40 laps, and caution laps will not count from what we're understanding here, Justin. So this one could take a little bit longer than those heat races for sure.
Here's a look at your iRacing weather conditions for this one. Partly cloudy outside the building. The air temperature set to 75 degrees inside. The track temperature still a cool 60 degrees as these drivers get settled in for the Chili Bowl. Your keys to win real quickly on this tight track, and already seen a lot of chaos up front.
It's definitely going to come down to patience and strategy when it comes to those moves. Like I said before this, you don't want to force anything because it's so easy to make a mistake, slide up into your competitor, and you're going to go flying in the air around this racetrack, and you're going to be done for the day. So if you take your time, plan out your moves, you're going to have a good opportunity to get it done here this afternoon.
Leader has control on every start, including the initial start per race control. Bradley Cox waits for the green. We're underway once again from the Chili Bowl. Good start for the Fusion Setup Shop wins Shootout as Cox tries to wrap the bottom. Rupert doing the same. Sylvia not able to hold on third for the time being. Grant Brown trying to use the cushion.
Grant Brown up top. That's Jake Sylvia on the bottom. Just behind them, Casey Beatty and Tyler Mueller coming into play as well. As we have caution there in the back. Actually, now we're under caution as Kyle Adams just went around in his car. It is for sale, but just has a little bit more damage on that machine now.
Yeah, that's not going to help the sale value on the 9 machine.
Absolutely no.
First caution of the day. Takes the claim off the edge of Bradley Stefane. Let's take a look here.
Yeah, watching that Kyle Adams machine right in the center of your screen. You can see for sale all over the side of it. Looks like the car ahead of him going to bobble up. He gets into, not sure what number that machine was on the outside. Gets into the side of him. That's going to send them around, cause a stack up behind. But that Kelly Blue Book not looking too good for Kyle Adams here today.
Yeah, that knocks a good couple grand off the value of it, per se, when you have a spin like that. But we're under the pace laps, already on lap 3. And with that, Bradley Cox still up front. Grant Brown seems like he knows what he's doing with this type of racing, though. Already to third for the restart.
Yeah, Grant Brown has looked good all day here today. Was relatively quick in practice. Placed himself 6th on the board there in practice. Looking good here in the feature. We are back under green, and Bradley Cox going to be side by side with Alex Rupert as he clears. Rupert going to take a look to the inside as Brown and Beatty going to be side by side for position number 3.
Some contact a bit with the berm for both the front runners. Some crunching in the backdrop. Caution flag is out yet again. Jake Grout, Kyle Adams, Keegan Bush involved. Bush claiming responsibility as second nearly hit the barriers.
Yeah, taking a look at that one, definitely not what these guys wanted to see. You can see Brown just up ahead, gets up the 71 at Dylan Calabro on the outside. You're going to see these two come together after contact with the inside berm there, and then Jake Rout gets involved. Kyle Adams able to sneak on by, goes for a little bit of a spin there, but these guys obviously not the way they wanted to kick this one off. Already under caution once again as we ride on board with Brown. You can just see him get up and over that inside hill, and that leads to a bit of carnage there with Kyle Adams involved as well.
Already had a restart. That's how quick they want to get through these caution flags here today. And already 3 wide of the heart of the pack. That might not be good here. Tara Moore having to back out of it. Grant Brown uses the cushion, trying to defend third, as once again it's caution. Rychecki involved, Adams involved, and Keegan Bush again involved.
Yeah, pretty much the exact same group that was just involved in the latest incident, going to be involved in this one as well. Just it's like a bit of a stack up there around Grout, leads to contact with 15 machine. Kyle Adams going to get in there. Brown going to be a late entrant as well, as these guys nearly get into the outside wall. So caution, I believe this is caution number 3 already here on lap number 7. They're ticking the laps off relatively quickly, but not the way they would have wanted to here. They want to get as much green flag racing in as they possibly can, but Bradley Cox continuing to lead the way here as we're going to get set to go green once again.
Single file restarts, near immediate for the restarts as well. Already back underway. Bradley Cox holding up to the cushion. Nobody this time going inside. This seems to be our calmest start yet. Couple drivers trying to use that berm, hitting the front tires against it. Everybody else staying high side and handsome.
Sometimes all it takes is a single file restart to calm these guys down, space them out a little bit more. Like you said, single file, pretty much the entire top 5. Looking back, the first side-by-side battle is Bradley Stefane and Jake Grout able to get through past Stefane. He's got his sights set on Dylan Calabro. Calabro currently holding on to position number 7. Grout dives to the inside. Brown and Mueller are going to go side by side. Mueller gets the inside berm. He's going to knock himself back up into the racetrack, as I believe we just had an incident there. Jake Grout and Dylan Calabro to bring out another caution here.
And back under yellow. And what they have noticed with the micro sprints, you hit the berm, it's like a ramp. Guess who hit the berm, and guess who used it as a ramp accidentally to hit the side of competitors?
Oh, Dylan Calabro, like you said, hits that inside berm, goes up into the outside, into the side of Jake Grout. And last time I called the Misfit Touring Series, Jake Grout unfortunately was victim of an incident similar to that on a paved short track. So it must be something with me being here and Jake Grout just getting absolutely clobbered into the side.
I mean, sometimes that's the way it goes.
Absolutely.
We're about 12 laps down. Bradley Cox still in control. Back underway. And once again, Cox trying to keep the lead, this time changing up a little bit. These drivers trying to find those moisture pockets, try and drive around, see where the slick is built up right now. There's a lot of slick around the berm, very top of the wall. It's starting to dry out a little bit, middle of the racetrack.
Yeah, you're seeing the driver seeking a little bit of moisture on the racetrack, looking for that extra little bit of speed. As you can see, Bradley Cox continuing to lead ahead of Alex Rupert. Rupert seems to be closing in certain portions of the racetrack, especially that 3 and 4 area. Seems to be able to get a little bit closer to Cox. Then Cox spreads his wings going down the back straight and pulls away from him a little bit here. But Jake Sylvia, he is absolutely cooking the high side, getting higher than just about anybody that we've seen here through 3 and 4. Drops down in 1 and 2 as he holds on into position. First side-by-side battle that we are seeing, though, is Bradley Stefane, Jeremiah Rychecki, as they cook side by side. That is Rychecki up top. Stefane on the bottom gets a little bit bent out of shape. Jake Grout going to try to jump into the picture as well as we continue to ride on board here in a little bit of action up towards the front. I believe that's the Beatty machine as he gets by Brown for position.
Beatty trying to complete the job, though, still can't for now. Race leaders are catching up to lap traffic already, but the caution flag is out. And not sure, I believe it might have been Rychecki again. Might have been with Kyle Adams in the heart of the pack. It was.
Yeah, I believe you're correct here. Watching Jeremiah Rychecki at the top. Kyle Adams coming in on the bottom. We'll see what happens between these drivers. Actually, that's Adams up ahead of Rychecki. Rychecki nearly took a look there, gets into the back end of Adams. They both go for a spin, and Rychecki gonna take it to the pits. I believe he's gonna call it a day here in race number 1 of the afternoon, as we're already just about halfway in this one. Justin Prince, we're gonna get set to go green again here momentarily. It's Bradley Cox out front, Alex Rupert, Jake Sylvia, the top 3 as we are green.
Backing away as Rychecki is done. All set to go once more around the racetrack. Bradley Cox continuing to control the tempo. Cox, someone with some decent experience, mind you, on the dirt side. When you look up the Bradley Cox of the racing circuits, how about a 10-time South African champion? But we're under caution again because it's Kyle Adams again, who is really trying to make sure that car is given away for free at this point.
He really likes the car. He doesn't want to sell it, but he's just been told he's got to clear room out of the garage, putting that car up for sale. We're watching Kyle Adams here. See what happens to him driving that for sale machine. Bit of a stack up ahead of him here. Not sure if that actually comes into play. Oh, yes, it does. Gets into the rear end of the car ahead of him, goes for a spin, and that's going to bring out the latest caution here at the Chili Bowl as we are approaching another restart here behind Bradley Cox.
Just give a quick clarification. There are 2 Bradley Cox in the racing world. There's the one that's the 10-time South African champion, and then there's the Bradley Cox you see, who's known for racing in these cars. He, along with fellow rear-wheel midget racer and micro sprint racer Alex Rupert, still controlling things up at the front, 1 and 2. Jake Sylvia, 3rd.
Yeah, Jake Sylvia, a big part of putting this event on today. One of the organizers of the event, currently running there in position number 3, doing a nice job. This is a gaggle of cars behind them, though. Grant Brown with Casey Beatty and Deegan Smith duking it out here. Bradley Stefane just had himself an incident, able to get that gathered back up. He's been hit by Kyle Adams a couple of times here today, able to keep that machine rolling in one piece. And these guys doing everything they possibly can to gain some positions, but it's just not coming into play, though. Jake Sylvia taking another look to the outside of Alex Rupert. They're going to be side by side for second here, coming off of turn number 4. Alex Rupert with the advantage ahead of Jake Sylvia.
Rupert still not allowing any runs. Rupert, caution flag is out yet again.
Jake Grout.
And not sure where Grout has already gone, but I'm guessing it's straightforward again. But I'm guessing he got some help. Yep, he did.
Yeah, watching Jake Grout gets contact from Bradley Cox, I do believe that was actually. No, that is not Bradley Cox.
That was Beatty.
Yeah, that was Beatty that he got into the side of there. Casey Beatty and Jake Grout coming together to bring out another caution here. Just over 10 to go. Intensity's already been pretty high so far here, Justin. I would expect it just to pick up even further. We saw the likes of Rupert and Sylvia get really close to each other over this previous sequence of laps that we've had. I'd expect that battle to kick back off right here and get even closer than what we've had so far.
It shouldn't be surprised to see Bradley Cox leading, by the way, because funnily enough, have you ever heard of the Tulsa Shootout, the other part of the festivities of the Chili Bowl? Guess who's raced in this event in the past in 2023 in real world? Your race leader, who's still running away, coming towards 11 to go.
His experience definitely showing here today, able to get out to the race lead once again. Great restart for him. Jake Sylvia gets up into the outside wall from position number 3. Now he's got Tyler Mueller closing that gap on him. See if he can get up there. Deegan Smith is in a battle here with Grant Brown. They're going to be side by side. Brown going to clear. Here comes Jake Grout with a head of steam as well. These guys all duking it out relatively hard back here, just towards the tail of the top 10. We're watching Grant Brown. He's under fire here from Deegan Smith. Smith takes a look to the inside of him as Mueller gets the outside wall. Almost 3 wide here as Brown and Mueller going to get really close now, battling for position number 4. Grout sneaks by on the high side.
Grant Brown is fading fast with already 8 laps to go after running in the top 3 all day. All that's while Bradley Cox is running a rocket ship around the track. 10.4 seconds a lap. He's almost a full second quicker than everybody else. And it's Bradley Stefane who brings up the caution after hitting a steel girder at the entry at pit road.
Ooh, that does not sound like a good time whatsoever. Let's take a look at the replay here. Watching Bradley Stefane taking a look to the inside of Grant Brown. We'll see what happens to him. Oh, he just overcorrects the wheel, gets into that steel girder, like you mentioned, able to continue on. But unfortunately for him, going to bring out a caution, and this will close the field back together with just over 5 laps to go. It's Bradley Cox, Alex Rupert, Jake Sylvia, Tyler Mueller, and Deegan Smith, the top 5.
I'd like to remind everybody that there's a second part to this event. Later on today, we take off the wings and do this again for $40. We'll see that racing at about 5:36 p.m. Eastern Time. Once again, here on Podium Esports. This field trying to get a little bit to grips with the micro sprints, as we've already seen today. But it's pretty clear, experience very much is helpful. Your top 2 have experience at this level.
Yeah, that's exactly an experience necessary for these guys to have success here at the front. As the day goes on, more experience will be had by the guys in the back, and we are green once again. Bradley Cox with a great jump.
And some technical blips there for Rupert. That allows Sylvia for a chance inside. Nearly turns around, does turn him around for second. Caution flag is out. The 12 gets hit several times. Sylvia takes responsibility. Tower Moore also picks up damage. And that changes the complexion up front. Rupert already out of the building.
Wow, this changes everything. Like you said, we went from a top 3 of Cox, Rupert, and Sylvia now to Cox, Smith, and Grout, the top 3. And we've seen Jake Grout absolutely cooking it on the high side here today. I wouldn't be surprised if he's able to back it up a little bit for the restart and absolutely book it on the high side, see what he can do to get up there and maybe battle it out with Deegan Smith or even Bradley Cox at the end, as we are coming to the green flag with 5 to go.
5 to go, coming down, 4 laps to go, up on the big board. Cox looking to hold on. Deegan Smith's been around the top 5 most of the day. Can he do anything to catch up? He's had struggles long run.
Bradley Cox continuing to lead. Jake Grout clips a little bit of the outside wall. Now he dives to the inside of Deegan Smith. Smith falling back to 3rd. He's under pressure from Grant Brown as Jake Grout clears into position number 2. Here comes Smith once again, taking another peek to the inside. We are coming to the white flag this time for Bradley Cox.
Bradley Cox outright dominant today from the get-go. The 45 set the pull time, set the race pole, set the pace for the entire field. Checker flag waves, the Fusion Setup Shop wins Shootout. Bradley Cox is the winner of it. $40 richer is the 45 today after leading every single lap. So Bradley Cox celebrates. We'll take a break. When we come back, post-race coverage. You're watching Podium Esports for iRacing's virtual Chili Bowl.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Welcome back to the Fusion Setup Shop Point Shootout here on Podium Esports for post-race coverage for the first major event for the Misfit Dirt Tour this March. Bradley Cox, who finished 4th in the restricted division when it came to the last year's Tulsa Shootout. Of ticks up the win, $40 richer today. Jake Rout finished second, 2.6 seconds back in 5 laps. That's how quick the 45 is around Tulsa. Deegan Smith rounds out the podium, Casey Beatty, Grant Brown, and once your top 5, Sylvia, Stefan, Moore, along with Adams and Rupert, your top 10. Your DNF list was filled with many, including Rupert, Calabro, Rychecki, Bush, and a DNS for Sean Urich. He did not take part in any of the festivities after initially racing early. Bradley Cox now joins us from Virtual Victory Lane. You definitely used that experience for the real world racetrack to your best advantage today. How was it on the virtual side?
Yeah, man, I just have a lot of experience at that track in real life, so I just took my experience from real life, took it to iRacing, and just ran smoothly and just like I do in real life, and it seemed to work out pretty good.
So, in that regard here, it was like a rocket ship seeing you pull away from the field. What was kind of going through your mind being able to pull away from just about everybody outside of another driver with experience at this level, and Alex Rupert?
Yeah, my car, it felt really good through that slider line. I would hit the berm kind of the left front, slide up the racetrack, and then once I seen my relative, I started to get a little bit of rhythm going. I just started to get in my rhythm, and I knew if I did that, they wouldn't really be able to catch me.
So, I'll ask this. Are you going to be taking part in the festivities in the later portion of today with the wingless sprints?
Yes, sir, I will be there.
All right. Your expectations for that one then?
Hopefully maybe go back-to-back. Well, we'll see how we do. Hopefully we can get another solid finish.
Anybody you want to thank for the run today?
Yes, sir. I'd like to thank Red Line Performance Roofing, Shane Graphics, Hathaway Performance, CP Pistons, my family for all their help, especially my grandpa for all he does for me in real life, and Inferno Motorsports and M9 for all they do for me.
Thank you very much for the time, Bradley.
Yep, thank you.
Bradley Cox picking up the win today. Jake Kraut finished second. He's standing by with Robert.
Yeah, Jake Rout, congratulations on the runner-up finish here in the first race of the afternoon. Why don't you walk us through that one, and how tough was it to come from the rear of the field starting 12th?
Yeah, it was definitely not easy. I had a lot of highs and lows on the way up through the field, but was able to find something around the top in the last about 15 laps, and was able to drive around some people, and luck went my way, and I was able to come out with a P2.
Now, obviously, Bradley Cox does have a lot of experience here in the real world. I don't think you do. Correct me if I'm wrong, but do you have a lot of experience at this racetrack here in the virtual world?
I mean, not as much as I would like to. I haven't ran too much here just because I don't really have a reason to, but ran some laps this week, and I definitely think it helped.
And just looking ahead later this afternoon, how are we feeling about the wingless portion of today's festivities? Do you think you have something for Bradley Cox? Maybe get up there and steal that victory from him?
I have no clue. I mean, I don't know if what I found in the wing race is gonna be able to work in the wingless race too. So I'll have to figure that out in practice. But I think we'll be fine as long as we can keep out of the carnage.
Well, we wish you the best of luck later today. Before we let you go, any shout-outs you want to give, sponsors you want to thank for making this happen?
Yeah, I gotta thank AW Clark Builders, Speed by Watts, Fusion Setup Shop, Misfits Racing League for putting this on, you guys for broadcasting it, JNS Sales and Service, White's Heating, and RKMSetupShop.com.
Congratulations on a solid run here in the winged feature. Best of luck later this afternoon.
Thank you.
That is Jake Rout, your runner-up here today. And now it's Justin Prince standing by with Deegan Smith, your third-place finisher.
Yes, indeed. Standing by with, this is going to be an interesting nickname, the Batman Career Ender. How do you feel about the podium?
Pretty good. Unfortunately, I had to give up my portion of the money for today's race, but, you know, it's always a good day when you finish on the top 3.
So, talk to us about the Fusion Setup Shop, because from at least our understanding via Kyle Adams, you are the owner of that setup shop.
Yeah, we're a 2-man team. I own the business side of it, like all the website and stuff, and Matthew Watts does all the building, and he owns that side of it. But, you know, me and Kyle built a relationship over the time, and we became good friends, and I decided to help him out a bit.
So, Now, in turn, how would you describe the building process for these races and what we'll see from the Dirt Tour as a whole through Misfit Racing Leagues from here on out?
It's for this race, for the special event that we did today. Jake built the sets, but we will be building the Dirt Tour. It's just going to be a fixed setup. It's going to be like a watered down version of sets that we actually sell so that they're all even for everybody and everybody can drive them.
Interesting way to phrase that. Anyone you want to thank for the run today?
Just want to thank Fusion Setup Shop and Victory Fuel.
That is Deegan Smith, straight to the point today. I thank him and the rest of the top three for speaking to us during post-race coverage here in Podium Esports. As Robert, today, first of all, very quick as we expected with the lap count and when it comes to the micro sprint. But two, experience paramount. If you want to do well here, it's pretty clear. Broderick Cox, as he said, knows this track very well, and it felt like the real world track.
Yeah, he definitely showed his real-world experience here today. 2 fourth-place finishes in the real-world Tulsa Shootout over the past couple of years. Definitely playing into his cards this afternoon. Another driver we're going to have to watch later today in the wingless race will be Alex Rupert. Was very strong here race number 1 until he ran into his issues, but should be a fun one. Looking forward to taking a look at that and see what they can do. But great afternoon here, like you said, very, very quick in that winged shootout, about 15 minutes time. So didn't take too long for these guys to put on a hell of a show.
Now, keep in mind that the next part of this event will take place in a little bit at about 5 p.m. Eastern Time, the Jake Silvio Racing Wingless Shootout. It'll be myself and Robert Hill Jr. on the call. We'll also be joined at one point by, again, Jacob Reeves. Producing for that one will be Ryan Bauer later today. On that note, it's time to say goodbye. For our co-announcer, once again, and Robert Hill Jr., for our producer, once more, and Ryan Bauer, I'm Justin Prince, saying thank you once more for watching today's coverage for the Fusion Setup Shop Winged Shootout. Bradley Cox, your winner, picks up an extra $40. We'll see you in less than an hour for the wingless portion of the card.